Here at Mastering Diabetes, we like to keep things as simple as possible for you. But when it comes to nutrition, things can get complicated and it's easy to get lost in the weeds, especially with all the confusing information on the internet these days. That's why we wanted to make things simple. And to do that, we've set up a chart of super simple guidelines where you can see which foods we recommend and which foods we suggest avoiding to maximize your diabetes health. In this video, we'll discuss our super simple diabetes nutrition guidelines and show you how to break your foods down into 3 simple categories. The first category is foods you can eat as much as you want, truly ad libitum, unlimited quantities. The second category, these are foods that are health promoting, but we want you to eat them in small quantities if you're living with diabetes. And the third category, these are foods which are counterproductive to your diabetes health, and it's best to minimize or avoid completely. We're even going to provide you with a very simple one-look graphic, which you can take with you to the grocery store. You can hang it on your fridge, so you can be reminded of these simple nutrition guidelines. Are you ready? Let's go.
A recipe for success when it comes to reversing insulin resistance, which is the underlying cause of most forms of diabetes and diabetes complications, is designed to be super simple. And lucky for you, it's based on a ton of research. We've worked for over dozens of years, we've looked at thousands of studies, and we've looked at the results from tens of thousands of people to create 3 simple categories of food based off of a traffic light system. First are the green light foods. Now, this category of green light foods contains all the foods that you can eat ad libitum, which basically means that you can eat as much as you want. These are unrefined whole foods, which are optimal for reversing insulin resistance, so there's literally no need to limit how much you eat. And if you ask us, that's actually pretty cool. The next category is the yellow light category. The yellow light category contains foods that you can include in small quantities because they're either slightly processed or they have a higher fat content. They shouldn't be considered daily staples, but they're still considered healthy choices. And finally, you have the red light category. Now, the red light category contains the foods that we recommend removing from your fridge, from your kitchen cabinets, and most importantly, from your plate. These foods have been documented by evidence-based research to cause insulin resistance, to increase your blood glucose, and to promote chronic diseases. Make sense? Good. Now, let's get to the specifics.
So let's start with green light foods. Green light foods, which you can eat as much as you want, as often as you want, include fruits like bananas, mangoes, oranges, strawberries, you name it, all the fruits. Starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes, butternut squash, corn, yams, those are the starchy vegetables. Then legumes like beans, lentils, and peas. Then we move on to intact whole grains, unrefined, okay? Intact is the key word. Those include brown rice, quinoa, and farro. Note that this does not include processed grains. We cannot say that clearly enough. All right, so then on to non-starchy vegetables. Those will be foods like tomatoes, cucumbers, broccoli. Then move on to leafy greens, all different varieties of lettuce, arugula, spinach, kale, and chard. Then herbs and spices, which you can consume fresh or dried. Just make sure they don't have additives. Mushrooms like shiitake, cremini, portobello, and many, many more. It's a pretty sizable list, okay? And there's a lot of different varieties inside these categories and inside even any given category. There's so many varieties of mangoes. It's a lot of fun. So that's the point, okay? There's a lot you can consume here, and you get to have a truly vast array of options to improve your diabetes health. Next up are the yellow light foods. These are foods that are considered healthy, but they're either higher in their fat content, which can be very problematic if you're working to reverse insulin resistance, or they're just a bit more processed.
Now, yellow light foods shouldn't be daily staples. They can still be part of your diet for sure. And these foods include things like avocados, nuts and seeds, nut and seed butters, plant-based milks, coconut meat, soy products like edamame, tofu, and tempeh, olives, and they also include pasta alternatives like lentils or beans or brown rice pasta, sprouted breads, dried fruits like dates, raisins, and apricots, and fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and coconut kefir. Now, remember, it's not that you can't eat these foods. They just shouldn't be daily staples. You eat them in small quantities and everything should be fine. There's a big difference compared to our red light foods, which we recommend removing from your diet completely. Now, we know that it can be daunting at first to have to remove an entire food group from your diet right now, but stick with us until the end, where we're going to break down why these categories can actually transform your life. The red light foods, which we recommend moving away from your diet completely, include red meat, white meat, eggs, all dairy products, oils of any kind, fish, shellfish, processed baked goods like croissants and muffins and cookies and pastries, then sweeteners like high fructose corn syrup and sorbitol and maltodextrin, refined whole foods like white pasta and white bread and sugar and white flour, and then coconut products that are generally processed. They're high-calorie products, and they exclude coconut kefir and aminos. They include things like yogurt and ice cream. And then processed vegan foods like veggie burgers, vegan cheeses, nut milk ice creams, and more. It's no wonder that so many people have a difficult time managing their blood glucose and struggle when living with diabetes. The vast majority of foods that people eat in the standard American diet are directly linked with an increased risk of insulin resistance and high blood glucose. That's why we are so focused on educating people about these super simple guidelines, because it's easy to get tripped up by diabetes causing or diabetes worsening foods.
Let's talk about your diabetes nutrition playbook. Now, before we go any further, it's important to realize that, like anything, there are always nuances to be addressed. For instance, if you are in the initial transition phase of switching to a high carbohydrate, plant-based diet and are experiencing spikes in your blood glucose after eating starch-heavy or fruit-heavy meals, then there are a lot of factors to consider. And there are a lot of tips and tricks that we can help you use to stabilize your blood glucose quickly. These nuanced details include the diabetes medications you're using, the non-diabetic medications you're using, the exact timing of when you are using those medications, your activity level, the pace at which you're eating your meals, the time of day that you're eating your meals, the way you are preparing your meals, the type of cooking styles, whether it's steaming or baking or frying, all the different methods. There's different impacts on your blood glucose levels, your overall health, the menstrual cycle if you're a woman, your gut health, and so much more. So yes, there are specific food adjustments we can make with the exact foods you're eating, but it's critical to know that reversing insulin resistance is more than just food. With that said, we have 2 different meal plans in our book. One meal plan is designed to help you if you're living with a high or very high level of insulin resistance. In that case, it may be best for you to start out by focusing on specific fruits or more leafy greens or legumes and starchy vegetables until your insulin sensitivity improves.
Now, the big question in your head right now is probably, come on, guys, do I have to eat this way to truly reverse diabetes? And the answer, at least according to thousands of studies and countless results, is yes. But we get it. Red light foods are engineered to be tempting, and they may be a large part of your current diet as it is right now. That's why we don't just stop with guidelines. In fact, if you'd like more personal guidance in making the transition or adjusting your diabetes nutrition to fit your actual personal needs, then you can work with one of our coaches here in the Mastering Diabetes program. Navigating the change from an insulin resistance inducing diet to one that'll help you reverse insulin resistance permanently can be difficult, both physically and emotionally. That's why it's nice to have someone right there helping you, hold your hand to support you, give you accountability, and help you discover the benefits that are waiting for you. The benefits include things like more energy, permanent weight loss, no more yo-yo dieting, reduced risk of chronic diseases, less stress about what you're eating, reduced medication use, and much more. We're here to help you, and we're here to help you master diabetes completely. Now, that's all for today. Don't forget to stay tuned, like, and subscribe for more videos from our team to give you the inside scoop on your diabetes health.